Hey everybody, this is Brian. Welcome to Chiller Night Live, where from 8 p.m. Eastern Time until 9 p.m. we'll talk about all things horror, science fiction, paranormal. You pick the topic, we'll make a show out of it, by golly. And tonight we have a topic already. We'll get to that in just but a mere moment. But Bonehead says hello. Hello, Bonehead. Thanks for joining us. Dominic says, hey, happy Tuesday, everyone. Happy Tuesday to you. Dominic, thanks for joining us. Stephanie says, hey, y'all. Hey, Stephanie. Bonehead says, good evening to Brian and the ChillerNight crew. Good evening, good evening. Patty says, hi, y'all. Hey, Patty, thanks for joining us. And there's Paul. Mano says, hi, family. How's everyone doing? Very well, thank you. Hope you are too. Brian says, hello, all. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining us. Huh. Hold on a second here. I'm trying to, it's weird. The chat box tonight is acting up on me. Oh, well, that's all right. We'll manage. Tom says, hiya, ChillerNight. Hey, Tom, thanks for joining us. D says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, D. Tonight's topic was, let's pull that up. Let's pull that up here. But boom. Actually, horror movie soundtracks. Theme music. So tonight, that'll be a fun episode, I think. Everyone should have a few that pop instantly to mind, I'm sure. I will be reading a top 10 list, and feel free to add, and we'll see if the ones that you pick are on that list. SBC says, hello, everyone. Hey, SBC, thanks for joining us. And there's Dominic. What's topic tonight? And let's see, there's some salutations being exchanged. Stephanie says, Halloween 1978, hands down. Yes, you are correct. That is, that's number one on many a list, I can tell you that. Huh. Interesting why this is stuck. Oh well, that's all right. But before we get into that, where are you? We had a birthday this week. Uh-oh, I put it up behind the picture here. Happy birthday to Bonehead. Bonehead had a birthday this week on the 7th, so I want to wish him a happy birthday. I hope he had a wonderful day. And I got a few more of you guys coming up here too this month here pretty quick. Dale Baltzer, sometimes he pops on here. He used to be quite the regular for quite a while ago. Remember, Dale used to run the watch parties on the Facebook group page. His is coming up on the February 16th. And John Crozark the Grand, his is coming up here pretty soon as well on the 20th. So, but but tonight is about Bonehead. So, want to wish you a happy birthday. Let's see. Tom says, if you're digging this live stream, please subscribe, hit the notification, and give ChillerNight a big old thumbs up. Yes, thank you, Tom. Yes, please do. All of that helps. All of that helps. I have been getting, you guys are supposed to be doing that because I've been getting more views here lately. They come in spurts. They come and go. So keep it up, whatever you're doing. I appreciate that. Most of them good. Most of the comments good. Got a few trolls out there. Still trying to get in there. Jeepers Creepers, how did you get those eyes, Paul says. Dominic says Halloween, yeah. Stan says, good evening all. Hey Stan, thanks for joining us. Let's see. Christine soundtrack, does that count, Bonehead says? Sure, yeah, of course. Patty says The Exorcist, yep. Stephanie says happy birthday. Everyone's saying happy birthday to Bonehead. Ava says, hello all. Hey, baby. Thanks for joining us. Bunny says, thanks, Brian. Thanks to all the ChillerNight crew. Miss Glamfangs made my birthday. Oh, that's cool. Well, tell her I said, and I'm sure everybody sends their greetings to Miss Glamfangs. Tom says the original Night of the Living Dead. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. You know, I hadn't thought of that. But that does, you instantly, this pops into your head. Everyone's saying hello. Ava says, happy birthday, Bonehead. Everyone's saying hello and happy birthday. Hi, Ava and Patsy, Tom says. Let's see, Bonus says, thanks, audience, but tonight shouldn't be about me, but the topic gets way more interesting than me. Oh, we've got time. We've got time. Bonus says, thanks again, ChillerNight crew, for the wonderful birthday wishes. You bet. You bet. Al says, hi, everyone. Hey, Al, thanks for joining us. All right, so let's get back to bam, horror movie theme music. Paul says, hey there, sis Ava, how are you feeling? I think she's still on here. Okay, a few more happy birthdays to Bonehead. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so before we delve into our devious topic for tonight, Bonehead says, thanks again, Brian. Oh, you bet, you bet. A few little things here, and then we'll begin. ChillerNight Theater every Saturday night on Stream TV. Stream TV. Extrememedia.tv. That's where you can find it. At 9 p.m. Eastern Time, there are 4 episodes run back to back that night. Now you may say, Brian, I've seen them all. I've seen them all. You probably have. I know I have. Yeah, it stands to reason, doesn't it? But now here's some exciting news. This year, we'll be having more new ChillerNight Theater episodes hosted by Jack Shadow, the one and only Jack Shadow. So that will be coming up. I'm targeting May 2nd as the kind of the relaunch of the show. I'm really hoping for that. That's a lot of episodes to fill in from May 2nd until October 31st. But if I can pull that off, I'll be pretty proud of myself. And I hope you'll be happy too about that. But yeah, so that's coming up. But there are new episodes. That I can tell you. Ava says, much better finally. Oh, yes. Yeah, she is doing much better. Dee says, what about Dead Silence soundtrack? Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one. Jaws opening music, Paul says. But thank you for making me Manos Man. Paul says. Dee says, I cannot wait. Yes. Yeah, I'll tell you, folks, I'm working. I'm working quite a bit. But that's my goal. And it's not just the ChillerNight Theater episodes. There's more. There's more coming. Now I will say this. I'll mention this. There will be a second YouTube channel. And once I launch that, I will ask all of you to subscribe to that as well. The reason being is YouTube and its infinite technical wisdom has determined that this page can't be monetized because it is playing non-original content, the movies. So due to that, I can't monetize this page. This page will still be here so that you can watch ChillerNight Theater. However, I'm going to be extending it to another page where a lot more content, this page, TikTok, and other social medium platforms will be playing the content. That's the plan anyways. So Al says, The Exorcist, yes. John says, with the Olympics starting and the Super Bowl is finished, we can enjoy our favorite events. It's once again time for ChillerNight Live. This is Crozak the Grand. And first, happy birthday to Bonehead. And now here's our host, Bryan Hogue. Thank you, Crozak the Grand. And I also did mention that you've got one coming up here too. So we'll be sure to wish you a happy birthday when that time comes on the 20th. Paul says, can't wait until May 2nd. Yes, me too. Okay, I'll get right into this. Oh, and also, the new episodes, I'm going to try to have a ChillerNight Roku channel up and ready by, it'd be cool if we had that on the opening night as well. I mean, Stream TV, I want, that's where, the new stuff's going to be on Stream TV, but I'm also, just parallel to that, going to try to launch the ChillerNight Roku channel as well. So just keep that in mind. I will try to have a Roku channel up and running by then. For ChillerNight, which will include this content as well. And all things ChillerNight, we'll be having more content than just these shows. That's my plan. John says, my music picks are from Hammer horror movies like Horror of Dracula, Curse of the Werewolf, and Curse of Frankenstein. Very cool. Bonus says, thanks again to everyone in the ChillerNight crew for the wonderful birthday wishes and sentiments. It really is much appreciated. Thank you, and Zol again. Wow, you are very welcome. He says, woohoo! SBC says, that's strange since there are monetized channels on YouTube that do exactly the same. Maybe you should contact them and ask them how they do it. I don't know. I don't know. That is their reasoning why I can't have monetized a monetized page. Jason says, another cornhole tonight, a losing night, and a late night, but I wanted to drop in to wish all of you a ghoulish evening. Happy birthday, Bonehead. Thanks for joining us, Jason. Jason's on Facebook. That's why most of you can't see him, you YouTube viewers. And but that's cool. Well, thanks for stopping in, Jason. Much appreciate that. A losing night, huh? Well, hopefully next week will go a little better for you. So, and with that, folks, here is the top 10. Let me get these all, whoops. From this list anyways. All right. Yes, the first one is It Follows. From 2014. The retro synth horror score with its relentless pursuit motives has gained massive modern popularity for its tension-building dread. I've seen It Follows. I remember Ava and I watching that. I don't remember anything about the soundtrack, but apparently there are some people out there who find it enjoyable. Now, number 9, moving quickly along. Not quickly, but just moving along. Don't know whether to need to belabor the point sometimes. Saw, 2004. The dramatic building piano and strings became hugely popular in the 2000s, often used in twists and reveals across media. Interesting. Bob Book says, Hoagie, hey Bob, thanks for joining us. Bob, I probably won't be filming the ChillerNight Theater episodes until maybe March now. I was going to just get half of the episodes written, do some filming, but the weather has been so horrible. It's been tough to plan. Although today was very nice. Finally, it's just like normal winter now. It's not like Hoth-like conditions. But I figure, well, I'm over halfway done with getting to my 26. I'll just keep writing episodes, and probably I'll be contacting you here soon for that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we're going to have a lot of fun making these episodes. D says, it's the amount of time the movies play. I think 30 to 45 seconds is the cutoff. Longer if no sound. are you talking about the oh, for the copyright stuff? Yeah, well, these are public domain that I'm playing, but it's just they're saying it's because of the content. They told me specifically because I'm playing movies, and that's not my content. That's not my original content. So at least that's what they told me. So be cool if that weren't the case, but Bonin says I can't seem to think of any soundtracks for horror movies. Would the fog count? It would. I honestly I can't think of how that went. But there are several on this list I can't think of either. But if that was a cool soundtrack, then sure. And even if it wasn't cool, throw it in there. It's John Carpenter. How could we go wrong? But it says, wait, I got one, Maximum Overdrive. Does that count? Heck yeah, it does. Brian says the absolute best soundtrack is Phantom of the Paradise. Okay, all right, Brian. I hadn't even considered that. I can't think of how that would go, but cool, neat ideas. I like it. Stephanie says, if it makes you feel better, Brian, I had 1 to 3 more inches of snow last week. Yeah, we we got hit again too, Stephanie. We must be in the same kind of path. Yeah, John says another good soundtrack is from The Thing. All right, another John Carpenter. Dee says, gotcha. Can you get a waiver permissions? I don't know. Maybe I'll have to check that out. SBC says, not a bit of snow here in old Germany. I don't even need gloves. Ah, that's nice. Very nice. Box Bog in on Takata in the Mole, Patty says. Easy for you to say. Okay. Jason says The Thing. Phantom of the Paradise was a good movie, Jason says. I think that's been brought up not too long ago for some reason. Or within the last maybe, I don't know, could be a handful of months. But to me, it goes like that. Okay, so there's Saw. You guys are giving a lot. Nightmare on Elm Street, very famous horror movie score. Stephen King's movie Christine had some sweet oldies. Yeah, somebody had brought that up a little earlier as well. So that one is standing out to several of you. Good choice, good choice. Friday 13th, Part 6. That's right, with the Alice Cooper, Jason Lives. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Stephanie says, to be honest, Paul, I'd watch Scream 4, or TBH. I'd watch Scream 4 earlier today. Oh, what have you been up to, Stephanie? I missed that. Okay. All right, so Nightmare on Elm Street. Then we have, all right, on this list, anyways, we have The Shining from 1980, the droning, dissonant electronic elements and the eerie adaptations amplify isolation and madness. Wendy Carlos's main title is particularly memorable. All right. The Shining. Now, here is one that didn't stand out to me, but it's Suspiria from 1977. The prog rock, prog gothic sync, and witchy vocals create a nightmarish, otherworldly vibe. It's a cult favorite for its intensity. So, it's called Goblin's Main Theme. All right, so that is one that was not on kind of my mainstream radar, I guess. But there you go. Pretty cool. Another one is 1976, The Omen, Jerry Goldsmith's musical score. The ominous choral Latin chant builds dread perfectly for the Antichrist story. It's haunting and frequently ranked among the scariest. Omen. Classic. Let's see. How about the original Phantasm, John says. All right. There you go. Jason says, in addition to John Carpenter's score, Don't Fear the Reaper was good. Yeah, was that... I always, that's one that I kind of associate around Halloween because it's been on like several like Halloween music soundtracks. So I do always think of that. I can't, I'm not sure what movie that was, or even if it was on a movie. I don't know, but I kind of always. In fact, do I have that one at the store or not? I don't remember. I don't think I do, but I should. If I don't, I should. Yeah, that's a good one. Paul says, don't forget Rod Serling's Twilight Zone TV show. Oh, there you go. See, perfect. That's what this show is all about. Get those wheels a turning. That's a perfect example of one. But it says, oh yeah, Midnight, the stars and you from The Shining. I forgot all about that. Jason says, Goblin the band was fantastic, and Suspiria and Day of the Dead from the 70s. Cool. Patty says that's Joanne Sebastian Bach. I'm trying not to say a bad word there. No, that's not what you're writing, but I don't want to mispronounce it. And Taga in D minor. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that's what it was called, but that brings it back to me, to the forefront of my mind. Patty writes that. SBC, I got the same message from YouTube. It's an automatic AI that recognizes that it's not your original content. Try explaining the concept directly to the support. All right, there's some good ideas between from you and D. Maybe I can. Maybe, that would be nice if I didn't have to have two channels, because that obviously is separating my viewership. Stephanie says, to be honest, I can't stand the Omen theme. It gives me the shivers. Well, it's doing its job then. D says, the chanting in the Omen is hypnotic. SBC, Ghostbusters has a great one. Ah, there you go. Ghostbusters. Some of these you guys say that are so obvious to me after I hear them. That's so cool. Jason says, Don't Fear the Reaper was on the radio when Lori was in the car with the sheriff's daughter. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So here we go with number 4. Number 4 on the list, or we're counting down to number 1, is The Exorcist. That's been brought up here. 1973, the eerie, repetitive, tubular bells melody became synonymous with demonic possession. It's chillingly atmospheric, and one of the most quoted horror cues. Is creepy. Brad says, finally, hey Brad, thanks for joining us. The snow is melting now. Yes, we can all rejoice. A little bit more heat. Yeah, it got up to like the 40s today. I was gonna come home here and pull out a lawn chair and sit in the front yard. I thought it was summer already. That's awesome, but not as awesome as the 1931 horror films Dracula and Frankenstein, coming to the public domain this January. That's right. It's coming up soon. Thank you, Brad, for your weekly reminder. But it says, how about Godzilla's theme? Oh, there you go. The original from 1954 that Akira Ifukubute wrote. I don't know how to say it. Still using today. They're still using today. I'm glad they are, because I do like that theme. That theme music for Godzilla. Paul says, don't forget the Chatting in City of the Dead, Christopher Lee. The Chatting. All right, City of the Dead. I don't know what Chatting is, but maybe that was a typo. 49, where I'm at, Stephanie says. You know what? I will check. I'm just, why not? Why not? I'll let you know what it's here in the dark domain. All right, it is 45. Not bad, not bad. Not bad. I mean, Thursday's going to dip down a little bit, but you know what? It's looking a lot better, folks. Even in fact, next week I'm seeing temperatures in the 60s. I'm liking that. I like temperature in the 60s. I may even have to sit on the porch and have a cigar next week. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Howling 2, Jason said, had a good song that was overused through the movie. Okay, I can't think of that one. I can't think of that one. Howling 2, though. Brad says, I know Jack Shadow is really, really excited about that. Oh, yeah. That's going to be weird, a weird feeling, actually being able to host Dracula and Frankenstein. I mean, that's going to be a special occasion there. And Patty says, don't forget the Spanish Dracula. There you go. That's right. It was a typo. I meant the chant in the graveyard scene. Okay. All right. That's what I figured. Okay. Well, I didn't know you were saying chant, but I figured it was a typo. All right. The chant in the graveyard scene in City of the Dead. Paul says. Very cool. All right, now we are moving on to number 3. Psycho. At least on this list. You guys are giving me a lot of really cool themes here. What are we on? We're on Psycho, 1960. Bernard Herrmann's The Murderer. Shower scene stabs. The screeching violins during the iconic shower scenes are seared into pop culture. The sharp stabbing strings define sudden terror. Yes, they do. Very much so. Psycho. And this has been mentioned. Jaws. 1975. Those two ominous notes. Dun, 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 dun. Are universally, it's actually written on there too, are universally known as the sound of approaching danger. It is one of the most recognizable film themes, period, not just in horror. So, some people question whether this is truly a horror movie. It falls, technically under that category. But depending on how you look at it, it's still, I think, is a good one to add for tonight's list. I know we've talked about that on here. Do you consider a movie about an actual creature in nature like that we are aware of? I'm not talking crypto stuff. Just like a shark, or the movie Grizzly with the giant grizzly bear, or Cujo with the dog. We've talked about that stuff. The birds, or something maybe causes them to do unnatural things. But to me, that's more scary than any werewolf or mummy. All right, so we're getting there. We are getting there. Let's see. Patty says 60. I thought the groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter. Wow, I don't know. Maybe the groundhog was, not quite thinking straight that day. Yeah, it's supposed to be in the 60s next week. I like it. I like it a lot. D says The Thing. There you go. Bonus says, whoever picked this topic, this was D. D picked this topic last week. Gets congratulations, because this is definitely a hard one. And you really got to think about it. Good topic. I'm enjoying the answers and learning. Yeah, I am too. Yeah, I mean, I just pick a list, but you guys are throwing all kinds of them at me. So that is really cool. I mean, these certainly are just 10. They're, you guys... I'm enjoying these answers here. Can we consider Psycho to be horror? You know, that's a good question. I mean, I like that. I like the question because that gets me thinking. If you're not going to do an animal that is a murderous animal, a you know, I normally attribute horror to something supernatural, something that doesn't necessarily happen. Although we are, uh, you know, I think we're going to see a lot of horrible things coming up uh, by just awful people. You know, is that horror? It's certainly the most horrific thing that, yeah, it probably is horror. I'm gonna say horror, sure. Um, but what do you guys think? Is it strictly just? That's a good question though, because that can kind of get you going around in a loop too. Is Psycho or Jaws, movies of a natural shark, just a messed up human? Is that a true horror movie? I've never even questioned Psycho before, but that's a good question. Um, Beetlejuice theme, Patty says. Yeah. Paul says Dracula, Frankenstein, and Manos would be a great triple header. Would they? Would it, Paul? Jason says, in a violent nature on Shudder has zero music, not even jump scare music. Stringer's good movie. A violent nature. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one. Okay, and this one, I'll put it this one, and then I'll catch up on the comments. You all knew it was coming. Halloween. That's been mentioned several times here. So Halloween, of course. John Carpenter's 1978 main theme, the pulsing minimalist synth piano riff, is arguably the most iconic horror theme ever. It's simple, relentless, and instantly evokes Michael Myers stalking victims. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So there you go. There you go. We've had a lot of them mentioned. I just put up 10, but you guys are really okay. Paul says, okay, that said, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Nope. that's my answer. Takes place during Christmas, but it's not a Christmas movie. That's my answer. I'd love to hear other opinions though. Stephanie says, LOL, Jaws themes reminds me of one episode of Modern Family. Also, my mom doesn't think Jaws is a horror movie. And it's not the only one. Interesting. Modern Family. Oh, I love that show. Abe and I, we just enjoyed that. We went and binge watched that sometime last year. John says, the Jaws theme was also used in the Saturday Night Live skit about Jaws the land shark. Yeah. Brad says, Dracula and Frankenstein will be free from copyright and enter the public domain this January. They will be free. I bet it will feel really, really good for those two. What do you think, Brian? I agree. Since they'll be free. Yeah, absolutely. I think that'll be awesome. Jason says, The Birds also has no music score. Interesting. I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have remembered that. So that's pretty cool. John says hi from Franklin. Hey John, thanks for joining us. John is on Facebook, same as Jason, and some of you are on Facebook. Brian Ivers was on their Facebook, and so if you're on YouTube, you can't see their comments, but I can see all. I have that power. No, but thank you for joining us, John. We're going over tonight's theme is boom, horror movie theme music, soundtracks. So Jaws is a horror movie as Halloween is a horror movie, Al says. Okay, all right, I like the input. Stephanie says, thanks, D. Yeah, it's a good topic. Bonehead says, thanks, Miss D. I can't believe how many I couldn't think of. And then Ian's saying, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, I'm kind of doing that myself. D says, do musicals cross over into horror, like Rocky Horror Picture Show, Little Shop of Horrors, or Phantom of the Opera? It can. Why not? Let's set no boundaries, folks. Uh, Jason says, Psycho the novel is in horror, but Jaws the novel is in fiction. Huh. Now that's interesting. That's interesting. Patty says, Jaws is horror. Look at how many people avoided the water after the movie came out. Oh, no doubt. It totally invoked fear. It totally did. Yeah, absolutely. Brett says, hey, everyone. Hey, Brett, thanks for joining us. Tonight's topic is horror movie theme music. John says, is the movie Alien horror, do you think? Yeah, I do think that one is. Yeah, that to me is a horror movie in space. Of course, it was kind of played up that way, but I do think it is. I mean, but yeah, I kind of get where you're going with that one, though. If we're questioning, because that creature, I mean, I don't know, what do you guys think? And if that's the case, the creature from the Black Lagoon wouldn't be horror; it's science fiction. It'd be science fiction, because that's supposed to have been a creature from the missing link of evolution between the fish and man. So I don't know. Interesting take on all of this. Brad says, you probably wish that these movies are in the public domain, do you, Brian? That would show them. You would show them, wouldn't you, Brian? Yes, I would, absolutely. I'd been showing them all along if I could. Yeah. SPC says, to me, Psycho is a thriller. Yeah. Brian says, why not Psycho? It's a slasher movie. True. Just like Scream. What do you consider Scream? That was, now, granted, now there could have been some kind of like, I don't know, Ghostface, if he kind of came back as a supernatural. But at first he was just a person. That reminds me. Actually, I've not been to my store. I've not been to my store just because it's been so freaking cold. Where's my Ghostface plushies? I don't know where they're at. I'm sure they're on here somewhere, but I was going to show the plushies at the store I have of Ghostface. They're cute little things, plushies. But I'll be back this week to the store. Yeah, I've actually, see, here's the thing. At ChillerNight at the Cranberry Mall in Venango County, Pennsylvania, the store is pretty cold. I mean, it has been, but this has been not a normal winter so far. I mean, this has been unusually cold. And so the temperatures were like 50, 52 degrees in my store. So it takes hours just to warm up, and it might not even be 60 before I leave. It's not on Fridays, when I'm there 6 to 8, it nowhere near that. So on Saturdays I can get to 60 within a few hours, but I'm sitting there freezing. I'm sitting there just freezing for that many hours. It's okay if you're coming in to visit, if you're coming in to visit or something, for a few minutes, that's not bad. But when you're sitting there, I can't really do anything because I'm one person. I got to watch the counter, so I can't really move around. So I've actually not been going because I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick. I can't afford that. So, but I'll be back this week. And then somebody says, well, just turn the heat on, leave it on. Like, okay, you gonna pay for that? Oh my gosh. When it comes to film music, I've always enjoyed the westerns, SBC says. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Like the Lone Ranger. That's a pretty instantly identifiable theme. I probably talk about the movies. And, instead of a series. Oh no. Take care, Pat. Is Pat leaving? Patty. Oh, night, Paul. Stay safe. No, that's Paul, I think. Unless she. Uh, Patty says, Jurassic Park is fiction, and so is Planet of the Apes books, not science fiction. Why? I wonder why. You mean that's the category they're put in? Is fiction, not science fiction? I consider science fiction at some point something that we don't have the capability of right now. But maybe we do. Maybe they are cloning dinosaurs. Maybe they figured out a way to actually clone dinosaurs. I'm not questioning the ability to clone. We know cloning is, a real thing. That's a fact. But if they were able to bring something back extinct, but they haven't done it yet, but it's theoretically possible, then that's what I consider science fiction. So that's interesting, though. I wonder why that is. I've not seen that. Jason says Rob Zombie has some good music on all of his movies. I don't know if The Devil's Rejects is horror, but great soundtrack. I think it's normally in the horror category. Brett says Gremlins. Gremlins, okay. I can't think of the music to it, but sure, we'll put that in there. Paul says, gotta go help Mom. See you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Love you, family. Be safe out there. All right, Paul, thanks for joining us. John says, Close Encounters, Sir Kine is a great movie soundtrack. Yeah, I think that's very, very, very recognizable, very famous soundtrack. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. If you're throwing, science fiction in there, which we typically do. Brad says, how is the chiller store in the filming ChillerNight Theater, for that matter, Brian? Get anything done, or was it too dang cold? Too dang cold! But I'm getting a lot done as far as writing and getting stuff prepared. The filming itself, I mean, if the biggest hurdle in all of this is not the filming, it's the script, the dialogue. So I'm not too worried about the filming. Once I meet up with Stream TV and we're doing our thing, it'll be fine. The biggest hurdle, and that's that was what was hindering me before when I was trying to run the store and do the haunt and everything, is the episodes. And that's why I was standing in for a while, just in the tuxedo and as standing in for Jack Shadow, because I wasn't prepared. I wasn't preparing anything. It was just this. It was like this, but we're watching a movie. Not really the vision I had for ChillerNight Theater, so I'm bringing it back. But yeah, to answer your question, I guess I kind of is yes. It was too cold, and the filming hasn't started yet. I'm still rambling. Patty says, doesn't Scream 6 come out soon? I think that's a good question. I don't know, but I do know that they've been making more of them more frequently. But it says, hey Brian, did you get any Godzilla merch for sale at the store? I do. I just have that toy of Godzilla. And now that I can, now that I'll be going back to the store, maybe I'll see about. I've really been focusing on dialogue for the show, writing the episodes. But once I can get beyond a certain barrier and goal, meet a certain goal, I can focus on even setting up an online store. That hasn't been the priority, but I will strive to get that done. There's so much I'm trying to get done this year, and I'm excited about it. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that in a complaining way. I'm just saying that, wish I could. Speaking of clones, I wish I could clone myself. Brad says, and you have to be healthy and warm enough to tape all new episodes of ChillerNight Theater, right, Brian? Yeah. That's for sure. I hate sitting there for hours freezing. That's not fun. John says, the music from the original series, The Outer Limits and The Invaders, not only good, but was created by Dominic Frontier. Interesting. I did not know that. Actually, Pat, it's Scream 7, Stephanie says. Wow. Interesting. Patty says, the author of Jurassic Park thought people wouldn't buy his books if it was classified science fiction. As for Planet, I think it's because he is also the author of Bridge Over the River Kwai. Oh, really? So would that be like in his mind, like, oh, he's above science fiction. That's beneath him. I don't know. That's funny though. I didn't know that. Because it's definitely science fiction, but apparently not categorized that way. But we know better. SBC says it's to chill vor chiller. Chill vor chiller. Yeah, very cold. D says Scream 7. That's something. Wow, quite a bit. Patty says, I used to be a librarian. Ah, okay. And that is what we were told to classify Jurassic Park and why. Now that's interesting. Okay. That's interesting. So there's a reason. That's something. SBC says, I enjoyed some of the Scary Movie parodies more than the original. Betty says, thanks, D and Steph. Brett says, have a good night, everyone. All right, you too, Brett. I hope to see you this week. SBC says, Tales from the Crypt. Ah, that very famous opening music from Danny Elfman. Yeah, very, very, extremely recognizable. Very good. That's a good choice. Just like, what was it, Paul bringing up Twilight Zone? All you guys are thinking, you're bringing up stuff, and I'm thinking, why did I? Ghostbusters. I think one of you brought up Ghostbusters. That's very cool. Stephanie says, I have a friend who is a librarian. I wonder if they were told the same thing. Jason says, Barnes & Noble has all of the of Crichton's work as fiction. Stephanie says, take care, Brad. Oh, is Brad taking off? Oh, Brad says, especially... Oh, wow. 8:49 already. This hour goes so fast. Brad says, especially probably Jack Shadow has to get prepared for Dracula and Frankenstein coming out to the public domain in January 2027. I think Jack likes to be prepared as soon as possible, right, Brian? You got that right. Absolutely. Jason says, great shirt, Brian. Is that new? I've had this for a few years. Yeah. I was actually, if Bonehead's still on here, I was looking for my Godzilla t-shirt, because it's Bonehead's birthday the other day, and I was just going to put it on to wish him happy birthday in a Godzilla t-shirt, but I couldn't find it. I don't know where my Godzilla t-shirt is. But no, this one is not, it's not new. I've had it for, well, a few years. But thank you for the compliment. I'm glad you like it. Bob says, they have cloned the dire wolf successfully. The woolly mammoth is scheduled here in 2 or 3 years. I'm holding out to see a saber-toothed tiger. They have the DNA for it. Yeah, that is interesting. It is very interesting. Goes back to Jeff Goldblum's, statement in the original Jurassic Park, which, in my opinion, is still the best one. But he says you something to the effect of, you're so busy thinking about whether you could, you didn't think about whether you should. As neat as it is, there's probably a reason that these things, these animals, have become extinct, So introducing them back into our current timeline might not be good. As cool as it would be. Don't get me wrong. I would love to think that there's a brontosaurus out there somewhere. you know, or a woolly mammoth or a T-Rex or something. That would be the coolest thing. Just some island, Kong Island, you know, or maybe some underground world like in the Godzilla and King Kong movie under Antarctica. That would be cool. But I don't know if I want them in the woods running around in Pennsylvania. Brad says, Ega. Yes, Ega, the classic Ega. Yeah, we did that one, didn't we? Patty says, Breeders was a movie, right? It's the one I'm thinking of. Underground society of beings that mutate in the sunlight. That was a good theme music. Oh, I can't think of that. SBC says, uh, The Shining. Yep, we had that one up there earlier. That could be creepy. Um, Bonehead says, Brad, I know that you're really excited about Dracula Frankenstein, but what are you going to do when they get released and you can't harp on them anymore every week? Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is something to consider, Brad. Just something to think about. What are you going to do in February of 2027? All right, giving you something to think about. It's going to be kind of deflating for you. Just saying. No, by then though, you'll probably be thinking about maybe The Mummy or whatever, whatever the next movie is that Universal will release in the public domain. SBC says if they're going to make clones, then I'll order a few beautiful women, maybe like a clone catalog. Patty says I want the Liocene brought back. It's extinct because people hunted them to extinction. I don't know what that is, but yeah, if it went out in that way, then yes, by all means, because it shouldn't have naturally become extinct. Oh, okay, Tasmanian tiger, you said. Okay, well, gotcha. But and they might not be totally extinct. You never know. There are animals, creatures, and all that are believed to be extinct, and then they find later on that they're not. So, Abundance says, I mean, not to be smart, Brad, but you've said they're getting released 3 times already tonight. I really think we all know by now. Brad says, or maybe the vegetarian dinosaurs first, then start with the carnivores later. What do you think, Brian? I don't know. I just wonder, I mean, I'm not scientifically minded enough, knowledgeable enough to know whether that would be, is that a good thing to bring these things back? Would they just suffer? I mean, millions and millions of years, tens of millions of years they've been gone. So, is that a good idea? I don't know. I don't know. That could be a discussion for another show. Should we bring, cloning and the idea of bringing back animals that are no longer with us. Victor says, hello, Brian. Hey, Victor, thanks for joining us. Tonight we are talking about horror movie theme music, soundtracks. Jason says, the score in Hammer Horror's Satanic Rites of Dracula was catchy. Yeah, it got kind of groovy and upbeat there at times. SBC says, the Dodo. Brad says, there are other horror movies, especially Universal ones, in 2027 for all the 1932 horror films. I wonder which ones they'll bring out after Dracula and Frankenstein. As Patty mentioned, the Spanish Dracula movie also, which was filmed at the same time as the American Dracula. Same sets, same days. One was filmed at a certain time of the day, and then that crew would leave, another one would come in, and so interesting. Victor says, how's it going, Brian? Victor TV. It's going well, Victor. So thank you. Appreciate you joining us tonight. But everything is going pretty well. I tell you what, we've had a ton of musical scores from horror movies, and they threw a couple sci-fi ones in there as well. But there are so many tonight. I'm just so proud of you guys. It is really cool. You guys really hit me with some that I'm thinking, wow, that was so. Yes, of course. Stephanie says, so I thought of a topic for next week: snow monster movies. Snow monster movies it is, Stephanie. All right. I shall write it down right now. Snow monster movies. All right. This is by Stephanie. All right. So we got a topic. Thank you, Stephanie. John says, as the time approaches, you are reminded that you have been watching ChillerNight Live for another Tuesday night. This is Crozak the Grand, reminding you music is the theme for all your favorite movies. And I think that cloning should be for next week's theme. Until next week, stay chilled and keep thrilled. I like the idea of the cloning. I love that topic. I'll tell you what, since I wrote down Stephanie's, then we'll do the cloning one the week after then. Okay, so Stephanie's will be for the 17th, and then we'll do cloning for the 24th. All right, I'll write that down, and that's by John. All right. Very cool, very cool. You get to pick that one, John, because I know your birthday's around that day on the 20th. So I got all your birthdays written down here. Not all of them, but February's. Bonuses. People say I'm a dodo. I sort of think that's not a compliment, but I don't know. Oh. SBC says, we could bring back dinosaurs that we can tame and ride. Yeah, that'd be cool. Imagine riding to work on a Triceratops. Kind of control it, you know. Have it almost like a little windshield with its whatever that's called. I love Universal horror movies, Brad says. Me too. But it says, we'd never have guessed that, Brad. Dominic says, I think John Williams got gypped on several Academy Awards. His music made so many movies so much better. He did. It just, I'm amazed at John Williams to be able to come up with, he has hit a home run on so many movies that were made better because of his movies, like you said. That's undeniable. There's no question at all. Just if it weren't John Williams' music, it wouldn't still be remembered as well as it was because of his music. Dodos were actually, Patty says, actually made extinct by the rats that accompanied the sailors. They ate the dodo eggs. Really? I wouldn't have known that. Oh, that's too bad. See, that's okay. Well, and they ate the dodo eggs. Is that nature? Is it nature, or was it kind of given a boost there because of the situation? Brad says, good night, everyone. Remember what I said. I can't say it enough. Okay. Stephanie says, you're welcome. Bonin says, no hard feelings, Brad. I got Godzilla on the brain myself, and I'm a skull and ain't even got a brain. Patty says, stay safe, all. You too, Patty. Thanks for joining us. Neat information. Very cool. Stephanie says, take care. See y'all next week. Bonin says, we know, Brad. Yes, we know. Jason says, it never goes without saying, because each week it should be acknowledged with thanks that you provide this hour for all of us to escape to. Thank you, Brian. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And there will be a lot more to escape to this year. I'm working on anyway, so we will see. But thank you. But it said, thanks again, Brian and the Chiller Night crew, for a wonderful time and a great show. And all take care. God bless, and we'll see you next week. All right, sounds great. Dominic says, good night, everyone. Take care. Stay healthy. Yes. Tom says, later, everybody. All right. Yes, thank you. Tom, Dominic, Bonehead, Jason, all of you, thank you for joining me and each other for another Chiller Night Live. Have a good night. Have a good Chiller Night. We'll see you next week.